als so sein X haben. Christmas came a little early here in the UK on this Sunday morning for Now TV subscribers who put up and then swiftly brought back down again episode 16 of Twin Peaks The Return, which isn't due to air until later on tonight. If you haven't seen episode 16, do not watch the rest of this video. Episode 16 is one that could comfortably be described as a fan pleaser. It's an episode of Awakenings, but when we start the episode, it's a fond farewell we're bidding to one of the nastiest characters we've ever seen in the Twin Peaks universe. Farewell, Richard Horne, we hardly knew ye. We join Dark Cooper and Richard Horne on their dark journey through the darkness to the set of coordinates that Cooper has attained, and we learn that he's received 3 sets of coordinates, 2 of which match and 1 don't. And like the scumbag he is, he sends Richard off to go and check the first set of coordinates, the 2 that match, and Richard is promptly zapped out of existence. What I take from this is that there are forces mobilizing. Remember that call that Cooper had, pretending to be Philip Jeffries, trying to set a trap for evil Cooper, trying to get rid of him, take him off the board. He doesn't fall for it, so he goes for the 3rd set of coordinates. He acknowledges in passing, once he's dead, that Richard is his son, and then sets off on his merry way, seeming to confirm one of the horrific fan theories that evil Coop raped Audrey while she was in a coma, which brought Richard to bear. It might explain why he's such a slimy little scumbag, but he's out of the picture now. We don't have to worry about him. Cooper is making his way to the other set of coordinates, the true set of coordinates, but not before sending another one of his cheeky little mysterious text messages. This time a smiley face and the word all in capitals. The recipient of that text message receives her own awakening. It's Diane. The scene with Diane is just an exercise in revelation and tension building. It's pure Hitchcock. We, the audience, are privy to a piece of dangerous information that others in the scene don't know about. Diane has a revolver in her bag. She receives the smiley text all, and suddenly all of her memories come flooding back. It seems that Cooper was controlling her in many more ways than we possibly could have thought, not just with threats, not just with coercion, but actually had some sort of control over which memories she had access to. Poor Diane has never really been in control of herself. We find out why in this scene. She is a tulpa. She's another construct. Evil Cooper has been very busy making his constructs, first Dougie and now Diane. But when Diane's memories flood back to her and she makes her statements to Gordon, Albert and Tamara, we have confirmed that on the night Evil Coop visited Diane, he did indeed rape her. The most despicable of characters in the Twin Peaks universe. And this is a universe with Bob knocking around in it. So I don't say that lightly. There might be people suggesting that if it's confirmed that Diane is a tulpa, a manufactured construct, then that doesn't necessarily mean that Evil Coop raped Diane, but Evil Coop has all of Dale's memories. Being a tulpa means that you don't just look like the person you're supposed to take the form of. I do fear that Diane, that the confession that tulpa Diane made was true of our actual Diane Evans, who, well, goodness, is she even still alive? Was she just an annoyance? Hopefully we'll find out. I have a feeling though, with 2 more episodes to go, there will be loose ends. Throughout the tension of the will she, won't she reach into the bag for her gun, being dragged out, and if we've seen anything in this series, it's that David Lynch will drag things out to interminable lengths. So we're quite blessed when that scene doesn't end next week and we get a resolution to that. She does draw the gun, seemingly in a turmoil of inner conflict, but Albert and Tamara are there, primed, ready to defend Gordon, to save his life. And it's at this point, in case she doesn't return, that we have to tip the cap to Laura Dern, who has been outstanding. She's just done some phenomenal work, and I think on rewatch, knowing what we know now, we're going to see little shades of business and layers that she'll have put into a nuanced performance that sort of went past us before. Laura Dern, I salute you. So that's the awakening of Diane, but hang on, I said awakenings, didn't I? Plural. Kids, yes, awakenings. Say hello, ladies and gentlemen, to FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper. He's back, he's 100%, he's in control, he's the Dale we always knew and loved. Just his dialogue is pure Dale Cooper. I will wholly admit, proudly admit to tearing up, to having Dale back. Just such a decent man, through and through, honest, good man. And just the scenes where he's talking, the brief scene with Bushnell where he thanks him for all his help and tells him he's a good man, and the scene where he speaks to Janie E and little Sonny Jim and thanking them and saying, "No, I am your father, I will be coming back, we are a family," making you aware that he was aware of everything that was going on whilst he was frazzled in this sort of Dougie guise. And what did he say? "You filled my heart up." The career man, the honest, good Zen special agent, the Buddhist dream diarizing FBI man, righting wrongs and solving crimes, does have a missing piece in his life, and he found it there with the family. Dale is now in the tulpa creation business. He asks the one-armed man if he still has the seed, that little golden ball. Do you remember that we were asking, what the fuck is that, when Dougie returns to the Red Room and shrinks down? It's a seed, and with that, and with a piece of Cooper's hair, the one-armed man can make another tulpa, another representation of Dale. What does he have planned? Does Dale intend to do a switcheroo of some kind? Does he think he's not coming back from where he's going and is leaving the family with another version of him so that they're not left bereft? Or is he creating a tulpa for some other purpose? Maybe to continue working at the FBI so he can go off and have a family life, the life that he never wanted. As always with Twin Peaks, I don't know the answers to this. But as briefly as we've got Dale Cooper back, we've got 2 episodes left showing back-to-back in the finale, and I worry for him. He is exactly the kind of man who will sacrifice himself for the greater good. We finish, as we so often have, in the Roadhouse. As a fan of Pearl Jam, seeing Eddie Vedder singing Out of Sand, I knew it was coming, and I was wondering at what point it was coming. There was a horrible part of me, given the lyrics to Out of Sand, that made me worry that it was going to come at the very, very end, and it was going to be about Dale. I'll never be the man I was before. It had me hugely concerned. A couple of things briefly to say about Eddie Vedder. One, he don't lip sync. There have been an awful lot of lip sync performances in this, and I just took it to be stylistic. Lynch likes that. The Club Silencio in Mulholland Drive, he makes probably the most pertinent point in the entire movie happens in Club Silencio, that metaphor of the real and the unreal and constructing reality in film using soundtrack editing techniques and things like that. What is not real is made to look real. Hey, we're talking about tulpas again. We're talking about manufactured reality. And Eddie Vedder don't lip sync. You can't lip sync that performance. But being being introduced as Eddie Louis Severson. If you're a Pearl Jam fan, a lifelong signed up Pearl Jam fan like I am, that's an incredibly touching moment, especially if you know the story behind Pearl Jam's most famous, I imagine, song, Alive. And it also feeds into the idea of duality and doppelgangers that have been running throughout the entirety of this. And I fucking love Eddie Vedder anyway. I love his voice. So I was expecting the episode, as many previously have, to just play out on that song. We would get the song in whole and then the end. And then Audrey turns up and the whole ending threw me for an absolute freaking loop. Because I had started to buy into this notion that her scenes were happening in some sort of coma dream, in some sort of maybe mental institution, and that her husband was actually a psychiatrist, and all of these kind of theories I was starting to buy in because they were teasing us so much about her being on the threshold, her story being changed, and I'm like, and then they just stroll into the roadhouse, and I'm like, oh, so that was all on the level. They're married, and she's looking for Billy, and okay, it's a little disappointing to see Audrey go like that, and for that to be the story, but fine. You know, I trust in Lynch and Frost. And then the compere announces another act, Audrey's dance, and the music comes in. And Audrey starts to dance, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on? If you've seen my last week's reaction, I had hoped for something to come that put an awful lot of what happened in the Roadhouse in a different context. And I got it, baby. Because just as I'm trying to work, well, hang on, has everything in the Roadhouse been in some sort of fantasy reality? Because there is no way this now is happening in the real world. But it is kinda smeared over the top of what's happening in the real world. And we find out that Audrey's visit to the Roadhouse and her dance and the jazz music on the dance floor is happening at exactly the same time that James is having his fight from last week and getting into that punch up that will take him into the jail cell. And she turns around to her husband and says, you have to get me out of here now. And she is the third and final awakening, ending the episode with a real fucking bang. She's awake, looking in a mirror in what looks to be a clinically white room, but more importantly, all around her, because the sound design by David Lynch in this has been absolutely superlative, giving us oral clues all the way through. She is surrounded by the crackle and hum of electricity, which has been always the signifier of the spirit lodges. Something very, very strange is happening with Audrey. She's in dire need of help, much more help than when she was up at One-Eyed Jack's beyond the Canadian border. If only there was a hero who could come in and save her again. We've got about 2 hours of Twin Peaks left. They're going to be shown back to back, I understand, in the finale next week. And for all of those just apoplectic about how long Dale has been in the the Dougie persona, I beg your pardon, I'll ask you this. If we hadn't been promised these last 16 hours and were told instead, you're going to get a 2-hour Twin Peaks movie set 25 years after the original TV series, with Agent Cooper fighting the lodge spirits and trying to make sense of everything in Twin Peaks, battling his evil self, we would have settled for a 2-hour movie of just that. Now, we will get that, or something fairly closely approximating that, plus 16 other whole hours of story that will bring us to this point whereby this finale is going to mean so much more to us. Even I wavered in my faith with Freddie Sykes and his green power glove of Iron Fist 1-inch punch doom. Even I wavered in my faith. But whatever happens in the finale, what Mark Frost and David Lynch have done is they have reinvigorated, recreated appointment TV, must-see TV. There was never going to be any box setting of this shit. Oh, I'll wait for it all to air. And you better fucking believe my ass is on a seat as soon as I possibly can to watch the finale of this. And I bet your asses will be too. These final 2 episodes are going to be freaking enormous. Can't wait.